Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello. Hello, mic check 1, 2. Hello. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Okay, so we're going to get started pretty quick here. If you have something that you can use as a prop, like if you have a couple yoga blocks, those will be super helpful, or a strap. And if you don't have like an actual yoga strap, that's no worries. You can use anything like a towel or a scarf or a belt. Any of that will be just fine. And we're going to get started in about like 5 minutes. So you still got some time if you need to go gather those things. If you're all ready to go, then you can just begin by laying flat onto the back and just allowing your body just to relax a little bit before we get started. Okay, so we're going to get started in just a couple more minutes. And those of you that are just joining us, if you have yoga props, like they are super helpful. But if you don't have like traditional like blocks and straps, then you can really use like anything around your home. So like even like a soup can help just like elevate the floor a little bit, or if you have like a little stack of books. And for a strap, if you don't have like a traditional yoga strap, no worries, like a belt or a scarf, a towel, really anything will be useful in place of that. And then also for Shavasana, it's nice just to get cozy. So if you have like a blanket or like even like a pillow that you can use, we are going to be doing some lunges. So having something to support underneath the kneecap that's a little bit softer, especially if your floor is quite hard, will just be nicer for your joints. And so, yeah, we're going to get started in about 1 minute here. So if you need to grab any of those things, go for it. And so as we're just getting organized, I'm just going to let you guys know that through the SATTVA Yoga website and due to all of the restrictions that are happening right now, we've moved online. And so we're offering online classes, about 3, 4, sometimes even 5 classes a day. And we have a really great online membership rate. And so you can head to our website if you're interested in that. And just a little bit of like background information of the SATTVA School of Yoga. So it is a practice of yoga where what we do is we go through 4-month cycles. And so what these 4-month cycles comprise of is, so we spend 1 month focusing on the front body. So like literally everything you can see of mine here, front body. And then the next month we move into back body, which is literally everything you can see of mine here. And then after that, we move into the side body. And so for sure, these outer lateral lines through the inner lines. And then also we think about like left, right halves. And then the 4th month is where we work on strength. And so strength is like our kind of ability to draw everything in towards center. So we're creating equal effort between the front, the back, and the side body lines to give us this idea of like cohesiveness and 360-degree awareness, where we're able to sense through the entire body systems. And just for myself, the practice of yoga has just been very healing for me. About 4 years ago, I was crossing the street and I got hit by a car. And so it was a huge journey of just like learning how to move my body again. And I landed at SATTVA Yoga after that accident. And it's definitely just been a very really beautiful healing tool for myself, because it's nice just to spend some time just focusing on different parts of the body and understanding where we hold dysfunctional patterns. And then it also gives us the tools to reorganize the body in a way that just feels a lot better. And so that's just kind of the basis of the SATTVA practice. And what happens is that the all levels practice stays the same. And so the sequence is the same for the whole month. And so what's really beautiful about that is what the body does repetitively, it gets really good at. And so when you get to see the sequence again and again and again, then we're able to really start to understand the relationship of the sequence and the postures to our body. And so, yeah, if you want to come join us, we're more than welcome and excited to have you. So you can head to the SATTVA School of Yoga website, and then there'll be information for our online memberships and our online schedule. I usually teach the 6 a.m. and the 9 a.m. classes. And so if you're a bit of an early bird like me, you'll definitely see me on the schedule there. All right, let's get started, everyone. So we're going to begin today by laying onto the belly. We're going to bring the arms beside the body, and let's start by bringing the left cheek onto the mat. And what I want you to do here is I want you to close your eyes and then begin to feel the body relax with every single exhale. I love just taking the first few moments of my practice just to start to navigate my awareness in and start to tune into how my body's feeling today and how my mind is feeling today. So taking a posture that's very supportive for the body gives it an opportunity to relax and soften before we move into more dynamic movements. And this is an opportunity for you to start, instead of looking outwards, begin to look inwards. Gathering the attention of the mind and the senses and starting to draw them into the space of the body. And so we utilize our breath as a tool within the practice of yoga to start to captivate the attention of the mind. Okay, so now let's bring the right cheek onto the mat. And again, just taking a moment here to allow the body to relax and to soften into the floor. Especially if we're sitting at a desk all day, it's really nice just to get this nice soft opening through the front of the body, giving the back body an opportunity to relax and soften. And let's take one more big breath here. And now let's bring the forehead to the mat, and then let's start to extend the arms forward. So elbows are straight, palms are grounding onto the floor, and we're just gonna start to do a little bit of movement that's gonna connect us to the back body, just starting to wake up the tissue here. So we're gonna move through Shavasana variations, and we're gonna start by grounding through the lower body. So the tops of the feet, the quadriceps, the front of the pubic bone, grounding into the floor. And then we're gonna inhale, start to lift the arms and the chest up. Keeping the chest lifted, we're gonna exhale, elbows come to the rib cage. And then inhale, arms extend forward. And then exhale, lower the chest and the arms down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, let's lift up. Exhale, elbows to the rib cage. Inhale, arms reach forward. And exhale, lower to the floor. 1 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, elbows to the rib cage. Inhale, arms extend forward. And then exhale, lower to the mat. So now, keeping the front or the upper half of the body grounded down, pressing the palms, the chest, the abdomen into the floor. Let's inhale to start to lift just your legs up. And try and keep your knees straight and try and get that lift and extension from the hips. And then exhale, lower the legs down. And again, inhale, legs lift. And then exhale, legs lower. Let's do 1 more. Inhale, legs lift. And exhale, legs lower. So now we're going to take full Shavasana. So arms can extend behind you. You can interlace your hands together. And then when you're ready, let's take a big breath in and let's lift the chest and the legs up. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let's lower down. And then let's come onto the forearms and the elbows, coming into Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. So now we're just going to start to develop some awareness through the front body. So we're going to start in Cobra. So you can ground into that, elbows wide and the fingertips out, and then start to lift the chest up, feeling the length from the front body. Let's take 1 more breath in. And then exhale, let's tuck the toes under, and you can lift from your knees or from your toes, and let's come into a forearm plank. Feeling that hollowing out and squeeze up through the front body, and hold it here for 3, 2, and 1. Lower the body down and come back into Cobra. Tops of the feet pressed, and then inhale, let's lift the chest. 1 more breath in. And then exhale, let's again move into that plank, tucking the toes under, lifting the body up. And let's hold here for 3, 2, 1. Lower back down, come back into your Cobra, find your length here. 1 more breath in, we're going to do that 1 more time. So let's tuck the toes under, but this time we're going to start to walk the toes up towards the arms. So we're going to come into a dolphin. And so you can keep your knees bent here. What we're more concerned on is just developing a little bit of strength through the arms and the shoulders here. And so if you want your feet closer in, you can, or maybe further out feels more comfortable for you. And then what we're going to do is like these little forearm push-ups. So you're just going to try and bring your forehead between your thumbs and then push back. And let's do that 3 times. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, push back. 1 more. Inhale, come forward. And then exhale, push back. And then let's walk the feet back and come into our Cobra. So good. Take 3 breaths here. One more inhale. And then exhale, chest lowers down. Hands come underneath the shoulders. And then let's push ourselves up into a tabletop position. So now we're going to start to wake up the side body line. So we're going to work with some planks here, side planks. So we're going to start on the left side. So your left knee can ground as your left palm grounds. If you have any funny business in your wrist, you can always do a forearm plank here too. Right arm extends up, left leg can stay down, or you can start to straighten your left leg as well. Staggering the feet, and then feel that right side of the body lifting up. Pressing into that left palm, and then stacking the shoulders. If you want a little bit more, you can start to bend your left knee, and we can hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Let's come back into tabletop, and then we'll do the other side. So grounding into the right hand, the right knee maybe stays down, left leg extends, or if you want, you can extend your right leg as well, and then feel the lift through the side body line. And if you want a little bit more, you can lift your right knee up, and we'll hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Let's come back into a tabletop position, and then we'll tuck the toes under, lift the sit bones, and push back into downward facing dog. And here you can move freely. You can start to walk your dog out here, lifting the heel and bending the knee, pressing into the hands and the feet. Just allowing yourself to move a little bit intuitively here, and so that you can just start to lean into the body and allow it to communicate to you via sensation. And let's take 3 more breaths here in our downward facing dog. And we'll gently start to walk the feet up towards the hands. And we'll take a nice easy forward fold here. So you can bend your knees as much as you need. Be really gentle on your hamstrings. We're just warming the body up. Your hands can be soft on the floor, or maybe you want to grab onto opposite elbows, or maybe interlacing the hands behind the head. Staying nice and strong in your feet. And here I like to just kind of shift my weight forward, back, side to side. And then just really starting to connect to the aspect of center. So the center of the sole of the foot. And what we want to play around at an anatomical level is the arch of the foot. So we really want to feel our arches lift. As we have this physical connection through the fascial lines of the arch of the foot into the pelvic floor. Good, and now let's gently start to roll ourselves up to standing. Going nice and slow, but feeling that engagement and pull from the arch of the foot into the pelvic floor, and then pulling from the pelvic floor to the crown of the head. And then as we bring ourselves up, ground into your feet and take a deep exhale. And when you're ready, let's come to the top of the mat. And at the beginning of every practice, we set an intention. So we can close the eyes, bringing the hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra. As we take this moment to connect to our purpose and reason for showing up here tonight. And it's through the power of intention that it anchors us and inspires us to stay. So this whole practice doesn't always feel good. It can often be challenging. And so as we have an intention, it can just remind us as to why we've taken this on. So please draw yourself in to the sweet and sacred space that is inside of you. And ask yourself, why am I here? And then placing your intention between the palms of your hands and close to your heart. And we'll begin the practice by reciting the mantra Om to ourselves 1 time internally. So let's draw the breath in and exhale to Om. We'll gently release the hands down, come to the top of the mat, and let's begin, you guys. So starting with Ookatasana. So feet can be together hip distance. Bend the knees, inhale, sweep the arms up. We're here for 5 breaths. If the arms by your ears just feels very uncomfortable in your shoulders, you can bring them to shoulder height, or even bring their hands to the waist, totally up to you. We want to start to get really strong in the legs here. So maybe lift all 10 toes up, and then see how that potentially changes the experience of the posture. Maybe feeling like a little bit stronger through the legs, making that connection from arch of foot, pelvic floor, crown of head. Let's take one more breath in, and then exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, head and chest lifts, so gather from the feet, lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump back, high plank, and we lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, let's reach that right leg to the ceiling, and then with your strength, pull the knee into the chest, float your right foot down between your hands, back left heel grounds, and then inhale, we come up, warrior one. So we want to start to organize the posture from the floor up. So making a few adjustments here if you need, maybe adjusting the length of your feet, maybe widening the feet out, and then start to square the chest to the front of your mat. So in the strength sequence, what we're looking to do is build equal effort through the front, the back, and the side body lines. And depending on your body and your patterning that you have within the tissue, you might see that you're applying a bit more effort in one area than the other. And so this is a practice just highlighting and showing us these patternings that show up and are cultivated in our day-to-day life. So the practice of yoga can not only help us undo them, but also realign the tissue. Let's take one more breath in. And then exhale, fold forward, ground your palms, step back, high plank, and we lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Let's inhale, lift the left leg up. And again, use your strength, pull the knee into the chest. Try to float that left foot down, back right heel grounds, and then inhale, pull from the feet up as you bring your torso up. Virabhadrasana A. Creating that seal of that back right foot into the floor. And then as you anchor through that back right foot, you can start to bend that left knee and find a comfortable depth here. And so we want to begin to slow the fluctuations of the mind so that we can be a very attentive listener for the body, allowing the body to inform us through the avenue of sensation. Let's take one more inhale, and then exhale, fold forward, ground your palms, step back, high plank, and we lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog, and let's take 3 breaths here. And at any time in the practice, if you just need to take a break, honor that, come into child's pose, and then just pick up wherever you can. This isn't a practice of forcing your body to do anything, but it's rather an honoring of the body and what it needs in each moment of the practice. Gaze to the front of the mat. Let's step or jump the feet up. Lift the head and chest. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, bend your knees, sweep the arms up, Ookatasana. We're here for 5 breaths. And if you want to spice this up a little bit, we can start to lift the heels off of the floor. So stay rhythmic with your breathing and focus within your mind. Good, and now inhale, drop the heels if they're lifted, stand up nice and tall. You can even lean back a little bit here. And then exhale to release. Uttanasana. So your toes can be together. You can step your feet about hip distance apart, whatever alignment feels good. And then we're going to interlace the fingers behind the head. And I like forward folding like this because I used to always just like collapse my body down. But with the hands behind the head, what we're going to do, take a deep inhale, energize your legs. And then exhale as you fold, tip at your hips and press the back of your head into your palms. Gripping into the floor with the feet. And then as you reach your depth in the forward fold, hands can come down onto the floor, onto blocks. You can grab onto the back of your legs for sure. You can bend your knees as much as you need. It's no worries at all. We don't want to be pulling at our attachment points where our hamstring attaches into the sit bone. If you feel sensation there, then either bring the torso up a little bit or bend your knees. We want to feel the openings in the belly of the muscle. Good, second variation here. Let's inhale, lift the head and chest. And now Halasana, let's slide the hands underneath the feet. And so as we apply a bit of weight through the feet on the hands, we want to be actively pressing the back of the hands into the floor. And so that we're creating a little bit of contraction through the muscles and the tendons, and so that we're not just like crushing our hands and our fingers. Energizing the strength within the arms to potentially allow you to find a bit more extension through the vertebrae. Abdomen connects to thighs and potentially forehead to chin or to shin. Nice. Inhale, head and chest lifts. Exhale, slide your hands out from underneath your feet. Interlace the hands together, place the hands to the back of the skull, and then inhale, let's come up. And then again, try and come up with a flat back, and then folding from the hips. And as you come up, you can exhale to release. Let's take a vinyasa. Inhale, press the feet, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, head and chest lifts. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump back high plank, and we lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Gaze to the front of the mat. Let's step or jump the feet up. Lift the head and chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll all the way up to standing. Press the palms, reach up, get long. Exhale to release. So we're going to stay facing forward. If you have a block, you might want to place it in front of you. It might be helpful for you. And we're going to keep the right foot forward and step the left foot back, coming into Parsvottanasana. So the length isn't too long here. We want to square the hips to the front of the mat. Take a deep breath in, reach your arms up. And then exhale, let's fold over that right leg. And as you fold over that right leg, you can either connect your hands to the right shin, to a block, or maybe the floor is accessible for you here. And so thinking about the relationship of the body, so the front body is picking up. And so we want to feel the front of the leg, the kneecap, the quadriceps start to squeeze up towards the bone. And we want to pull that through the abdominal wall into the chest down to the hands. And so to counteract this drawing up of the front body, we want to feel the grounding down through the back body. So feeling this pull from the base of the skull all the way down to the sole of the foot. So we want to start to energize the glutes, energize the back of the legs here, and really press the feet into the floor. And now we're going to twist. So we're going to ground our left hand, the legs stay the same, and we're going to bring the right hand to the low back, Parsvottanasana, or you can start to reach your right arm up towards the ceiling if that's feeling good in the shoulders. And so we want to eliminate, as much as we can, any shift within the legs and the hips. We want to keep the hips square into the front of the mat and just start to get the rotation through the torso and the chest. Let's take one more inhale. And then exhale, right hand comes down. And now we're going to move into standing splits. We're going to ground the hands onto the floor. You can bend your right leg, and then inhale, left leg reaches up. If you need to keep your right leg bent here, you can for sure, but try and keep your left leg as straight as you can. So really feeling the front of the left leg squeeze up towards the skeletal system, and feeling your glutes charge up here to help lift that left leg up. Let's take 3 full deep breaths here. One more inhale, and then exhale, left foot steps back down, coming into Parsvottanasana, and then inhale, let's come all the way up, and exhale to the front of your mat. So good. Let's take that on the other side. So left foot stays forward, right foot steps back. Again, adjusting your feet as you need, lengthening, shortening the stride, widening your stride, and then inhale, let's reach the arms up, feel the engagement in the glutes, so picking up through the front of the body. And then exhale, fold forward. We don't want to lock into that left kneecap. So if you find if you're like hyperextending, keep a soft bend. That's way safer for the joint. And finding that engagement into the front body line will for sure help us just protect the back of the joints and the tendons and the ligaments here. Let's take one more full breath in and out. And then now let's ground that right palm either onto a block, onto the floor, onto that left shin, and then let's twist. So the left hand can come to the low back. And then without twisting the hips, start to rotate the chest to the left side of the mat. Left hand can reach up to the ceiling for sure if that's feeling good. Let's take one more inhale. And then exhale, left hand comes down. And then now let's move into standing split. So you're gonna bend your left leg and then reach your right foot to the ceiling. Keeping the hips square. So there's a tendency to wanna roll that right hip open to get the leg higher. But what I want you to think about is lowering the right hip and then picking up through the left hip. So we're not collapsing the pelvis onto the top of that left thigh bone, but there's like a drawing up as you fold forward. We're here for 3 more breaths, so keep energizing your practice through rhythmic inhales and exhales. Let's take one more inhale, and then exhale, right foot steps back, straightening the legs, and then inhale, come all the way up, and exhale to release. Samastitihi. Let's flow. Inhale, press the feet, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, head and chest lift, so squeeze in and lengthen. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump back, high plank, and we lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Gaze to the front of the mat, let's step or jump the feet up. Lift the head and chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll all the way up to standing, reach your arms, press the palms, and exhale to release. So let's stay facing forward. We're gonna pick up our left leg. So come into hip flexion here, lifting your left knee as high as you can. And then with control, you're gonna step that left foot back, coming into Virabhadrasana D, so a nice high lunge. Hands can stay onto your waist, or you can start to reach the arms up, totally up to you. And as you start to bend into that right leg, notice what happens into your left leg. So if your left knee starts to bend, and maybe lift the pelvis up a little bit here. Let's take one more inhale. And on the exhale, we twist. So the left arm hooks over the right leg for Parsvottanasana. So you can stack your palms, press them in towards each other, and then gently start to lean the torso back to the left side of your mat. Some of us may even have the space. We can extend that left arm over the right leg. Right arm can reach up. Good, so if you're extended here, bring your hands back together, press the palms, and then we'll all step that left foot forward, coming into revolved chair. And leaning the torso to the left side of the mat, keeping the hips square to the front. Nice, and now let's inhale, stand up nice and tall, reach the arms up. Again, you can lean back a little bit here if that feels good through the front of the hips. And then exhale to release. And let's take that series on the other side. So let's inhale, lift that right knee up. And with slow, controlled movement, step your right foot back, coming into Virabhadrasana D. Straightening that right leg and then bending into your left. Hands can come to the waist or you can start to reach the arms up. creating contact between the palms of the hands. So really pressing with intention here so that we're energizing the arms into the torso, just like we're energizing the feet into the floor. And that translates into force and engagement into the muscular system. And then that helps to provide positive tension through the connective tissue in the joints. And that's how we get the stability through the joint capsules. Let's take one more inhale here. And then exhale, let's hook that right arm over the left leg for Parsvottanasana. Palms can stack, pressing into each other. And then again, just gently leaning the torso towards the right side of the mat. Feeling the support and balance through the inner line of the legs and pull that into the pelvic floor and the abdominal wall. Let's take one more full breath here. And then on your next inhale, step that right foot up to the left for Ookatasana, twisted chair. Keep hollowing out the belly. And so it's not just like a hugging back of the navel, but we want to get the pelvic floor lifting, the lower abdominals like hollowing and scooping out. Good, inhale, come to center, stand up nice and tall, reach the arms. Lean back if that feels good. And exhale to release. Let's take a vinyasa. Inhale, press the feet, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, head and chest lifts. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump back, high plank. And lower chaturanga, stay strong in your hands. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Gaze to the front of the mat, let's step or jump the feet up. Lift the head and chest. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reach your arms, press the palms. And exhale to release. Okay. So now we're going to work with an Ookatasana again. So you can bend your knees, sweep your arms up to shoulder height, palms facing down. And again, if you want a little bit extra, lift those heels up. Squeezing the inner ankles in, grounding into the mounds of the foot and the toes. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So heels come down. And now, 2 options here. So you can take a revolved chair again, or you can move into Push-Ups. So if you find that squatting down this low, your heels don't connect to the mat, then this is where a prop will be helpful, a block, or if you have a blanket you can roll a few times, that's awesome too. So whether you're in chair or you're in Push-Ups, we're all gonna hook that left arm over the right leg. Again, palms can press here. If you wanna work towards a bind, this is where your strap will be helpful. And so the strap will just help close the gap between your hands here, keeping your knees square to the front of the mat and then rolling the chest open. Good, and now let's release. So 2 options here. You can come into side crow. So the outer edge of your right leg will hook to the back of your left tricep, and then you can start to lift the feet up. Or if you want to just come to center and take a crow here, you can bring your knees to the back of the arms and then go forward. So that's totally up to you. Whatever variation you're in is perfect for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Feet come down. And we're going to come back either into our Ookatasana or Push-Ups, and we're going to twist to the left now. So the right arm hooks over the left leg. Palms can press, open the chest. Or if you're wanting to close the gap within your bind, you can use your strap. And let's take 3 more breaths here. Good, and now let's release. An option, you can take side crow on the other side. So the outer edge of your left leg will connect to the back of your right arm. Or if you want to come to center and take your crow from center, you can too. So that's, again, totally up to you. And we'll crow here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, so let's come to center, and then let's step the feet back, coming into a high plank. Take a big breath in. Stay strong here, you've got this. Lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths here. And now let's reach that right leg to the ceiling, taking a 3-legged down dog, and then pull the right knee in towards the chest, float the right foot down between the hands, and then let's lower that left knee to the mat. Back left toes stay tucked. If you need some cushioning underneath that left knee joint, grab a blanket, especially if the surface is pretty hard. So our first variation in the lunge here, we're going to bring our right hand onto the right leg. You can walk your right foot out as much as you want or as little as you want, and then start to spin the chest. Some of us may want to just stay here. Some of us may start to bend that left leg and reach back with the right hand to left foot. And then just getting a little bit deeper of a quad stretch here. So we want to feel the contraction still through the back of that left leg. So the calf, the hamstring, the glute is all working to help bring the foot in towards the glute. So this is your active range of motion. And then once we add the hand in, we're then now working with our passive range of motion. And the passive range of motion helps us to build flexibility, and our active range of motion is developing strength. And so a healthy, balanced body is equal balance of strength and flexibility. This is why I love the yoga, because it gives us an opportunity to flex both of those. Let's take one more breath in. And then exhale, let's release that left foot. Tuck the back left toes under, walk your right foot into center, and then let's bring the torso up. Tons of options here. So you can bring both hands onto your right leg. If you just need a little extra support tonight, no worries at all. You can keep your right hand grounded and then just lift your left arm up, or you can reach both arms up. A little variation I like to take here is I sometimes like to grab onto opposite elbows and then press the back of my head into my forearms. Another fun option is to, again, interlace those fingers together and bring the palms to the back of the skull. And then if you're attempting to maybe lean back in your lunge, you can press the back of the head into the palms of the hands for a bit of support here. And then use the leaning back as a mechanism of strength from the feet. So the feet pressing down is helping us get that lift up and back. Let's take one more inhale, and then exhale, let's release. Hands down to the mat. Inhale, left leg straightens, and let's step back, downward facing dog, press. And let's take that series on the other side. So let's inhale, left leg lifts. Pull the knee into the chest, and then float the left foot between the hands. Back right knee to the floor. Again, use your cushioning if you need. Right hand grounds to the mat, left hand can connect to that left leg. You can stay here or start to bend your right leg. Right heel comes to the glute. Keeping that engagement through the back of the leg. Left hand can connect to right foot. So we don't want to just be like collapsing the body down here. We want to be actively like pressing into that right hand and then lifting and squeezing the front body up towards the skeleton. We have one more breath here. And then on the exhale, we release, back right toes tuck, walk that left foot into center, and then let's inhale, torso comes up. So again, both hands can connect to that left thigh for some support here. You can connect your left hand and reach your right arm up, left arm can reach up too. Tons of variations of all these postures. You can grab onto the elbows if you're liking that one, or maybe interlacing the hands to the back of the skull. So can you tune into your glutes? Can you feel your glutes engaging here? Can you feel the inner line of your legs squeezing in towards each other? And these are all super important factors to keeping the stability around the pelvis here, especially as we have one leg in flexion, one leg in extension. And so you might notice just some interesting positions of your pelvis here. So being able to engage into the muscles will help create that stability in the posture. Let's take one more inhale, and then exhale, hands come down to the mat. Inhale, right leg straightens. Let's step back down dog. You can stay here, or if you want to flow, let's inhale, high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. So now let's separate jump through onto our sit bones. And we're going to do a little bit of core work here, because our next posture will be Pincha Maharasana. And this is a posture that you don't have to go all the way up, and I'll show you some steps into it. And what I've been finding in my own practice for inversions, that core strength is really, really important to finding that stability upside down. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through 3 Navasanas. So we're going to start with Navasana, like a high boat pose. And then after that, we're going to lower down into a low boat pose. But if you find that lowering down or that low boat aggravates your low back, then you can just take a little break. And so I'll just leave that up to you. So starting with Navasana, the hands can support if you need it. Feet can be on the floor, you can lift them. You can find the back of your legs. You can straighten the arms, straighten your legs, and keep lifting your chest up so we're not putting pressure on the lower back. For 5, 4, you've got this. 3, 2, 1. You can take a break or lower down into low boat. You can keep your arms reaching forward, or for a little bit more challenge, bring the arms by the ears. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, come back up. High boat for 5, 4, yes, 3, 2, 1. You can take a break or lower down, low boat for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one, come back up. You've got this for 5, smile, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower back down, low boat. You've got this for 5. Hollow out the front body. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, come up. Bring your feet onto the floor and give your legs a little hug. Nice job. That's going to be useful for our inversion. So let's cross the ankles, plant the palms, and then let's press back into downward facing dog. So another component to inversions is having the back body a little bit open so that we can start to stack the hips over the shoulders. So we're just going to take a 3-legged down dog here, reaching the right leg up towards the ceiling, feeling the length through the back of the left leg. You can lift your left heel, bend your left knee just to relieve the hamstring if you need. And then now let's roll that right hip over top of the left. You can bend your right heel in towards the glute and just finding some opening through that inside line. Nice job. Let's straighten that right leg out and then step the right foot to the mat, and we'll take that on the other side. Inhale, left leg sweeps up. Taking a few breaths here, keeping your hips square, finding the engagement in your glutes. And then we can start to stack the left hip over the right. Bending that left leg, bringing the left heel to the glute as you drive that left knee to the ceiling and square your chest to the floor. Nice, and now let's inhale, straighten your left leg, and then bring the left foot to the mat. Let's come down onto our knees, and we'll set ourselves up for Pincha. So Pincha Maharasana, I see it done many, many ways. So your hands can like stack one on top of the other. I see people interlace their fingers together. What I've been working on is keeping my arms parallel, and I'm developing that strength through my inside line. So I use a block between my thumbs, and for me, that just gives me something to press into so that I don't collapse through that inside line. So whatever variation you want to take with your hands is perfect. I'm going to use my block here, bringing the forearms down. You want them shoulder kind of distant. So you might notice that your arms kind of want to roll out. So bring your elbows in a little bit and then allow them just to gently roll out. And then seal your hands into the floor, especially that thumb and inner wrist. So you can stay here with your knees on the mat and then think about starting to round into the front body and starting to pull the front body up, feeling that expression through the shoulder blades. You can stay here. You can tuck your toes under and straighten your legs, coming into a dolphin, walking the toes towards you, trying to stack the hips over the shoulders. And then from here, you can maybe play around lifting one leg up, and then maybe the other leg up. And then if you want to go for it, you can maybe start to bring yourself up. And we'll stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Come down, and then we'll all meet into child's pose. You can widen your knees out here, bring your forehead to the mat. Elbows can connect to the floor. I like this variation after Pincha. It just helps to open up that line from the elbow to the armpit through the lats and the chest. But if you have another variation you like to take, go for it. Nice, and so now let's straighten the arms out. Come up into a tabletop, tuck your toes under, and let's push back downward facing dog. And let's take 3 breaths here. You can stay in down dog, or if you want to flow, let's inhale high plank. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back downward facing dog. So now let's step or jump through, coming onto our sit bones, straightening the legs out in front of us, and then let's lay flat onto the back. And so we're going to take a Supta Kapottasana here. So you can bend your left leg, bring your left foot to the mat, right ankle onto your left thigh. You can stay here with your left foot on the floor, or you can start to pick your left foot up. And then that's going to help bring the right shin across the torso. We want to actively be moving that right knee away from us, and that's through some muscular strength through the legs and the hips here. And if you want to work on strength in your practice, don't use your hands. So see how close you can bring your right shin to the chest without your hands. But for sure, if you want to find some flexibility, then use your hands, which is your external force, to move the body a little bit deeper here. Let's take one more inhale. And then exhale, let's release and switch sides. So let's bring that right foot to the mat, left ankle onto the right thigh. And then when you're ready, take your variation, whether your right foot stays on the mat or you pick the right foot up, bringing the legs closer into you, using no hands, using hands. And this is your practice, and you're allowed to tailor any posture to what your body needs. And so the more we get to know ourselves and tune into this inner world, the more sensitive we are to be able to feel what is right for the body. This practice is a true honoring of the body and its ability to move. Nice job, and then let's release. And then just straighten the legs out here for a moment and just lay flat. Take a pause in your practice just to feel in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And then we're going to move into our back bends, Urdhva Dhanurasana. So there's 5 steps. We'll move through the steps together. So let's bend the legs, bring the feet onto the floor. So you want them about shoulder distance, and just check your feet out. Make sure the edges of your feet are parallel to the sides of the mat. You'll notice potentially you want your toes to turn out, but when that happens, we lose the connection through the inside line, which is super important in building the strength through the back bend. So from here, palms can connect onto the floor beside your pelvis, and now squeeze your glutes and then push your pelvis to the ceiling. Walking the shoulders under the back. So step 1 is here. So you can stay here. Maybe you grab your ankles, maybe you interlace your hands together. You can stay here if you'd like, for sure. Step 2, elbows bend, hands come to the low back, just offering a little bit of support here for the torso. You can stay here. Step 3, palms can come beside the ears, fingertips point to the shoulders, and then squeeze your elbows in. You can stay here, keep that pelvis lifted. Step 4, coming up onto the crown of the head. So we're light on the head, strong in the hands and the feet, organizing the body. And then inhale, coming all the way up, step 5, if that's where you're going. Keep the back body engaged, keep those glutes on. Press into the floor. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come down. So keep your glutes engaged until your low back hits the mat. And then lay flat and feel. Nice job. So moving slowly in and out of postures is just so beneficial for us not to injure ourselves, because sometimes the injury can happen when we're coming out of the back bend or going into it. Especially if we come out of it quite passively, then we can potentially put a lot of unnecessary weight on the low back and the sacrum. And so keeping that body engaged until you hit the floor and allow the floor to support you will just be helpful in maybe eliminating low back pain in your back bends. So now let's bend that left leg, bring the left foot to the floor, and then straighten your right leg to the ceiling, Supta Padangusthasana A. So you can grab onto the back of your leg with your hands. If you have a strap, you can bring a strap around the mound of the right foot, maybe closing the gap between your hands and your foot. And then also, if you're working on strength, then just don't use your hands and see how close you can get that foot to your head without the use of your hands. That left leg can stay bent, or you can straighten it out. Totally up to you. Tuck the chin slightly and lengthen through the spine. We're here for 3 more breaths. Let's take 1 more inhale, and then exhale, right foot to the mat, and then inhale, left leg straightens up. So again, you can use your hands, no hands. You can keep your right leg bent or straighten it. And let's take a few more breaths here. 1 more inhale, and then exhale, let's release. Let's bring the palms onto the floor beside your hips, and then let's inhale, pull the toes up towards you, and let's start to bring the legs to the ceiling. So you can stay here, or you can bring your hands under your low back and just take a nice restorative pose here. Or if you want to continue on, we're gonna move into Halasana. So we can roll onto the shoulders, bringing the hands onto the back and starting to straighten the legs, and potentially the toes start to touch the floor behind the head. Definitely not a requirement, but if the toes don't touch, make sure your hands are connected to the back so that we're not collapsing into the neck and putting unnecessary strain on the cervical vertebrae. Good, and now let's bend the knees to the forehead, Karne Padasana. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Good, and now let's roll down onto the back and then rock ourselves up. And then we're gonna work on our headstand. So headstand can be done, again, many ways, but I'll show you a way that we kind of work with traditionally in the SATTVA practice. If inverting and headstands just aren't for you, then you definitely don't have to do it. You can just come into child's pose. So what we like to do here is we like to interlace the fingers together here, so a super strong grip. And then we'll bring the forearms and elbows down to the mat. So kind of like a Pincha Maharasana. And then we bring the flat part of the head onto the floor between the forearms, elbows walk in. And then here you can stay with the knees on the floor. You can tuck your toes under, straightening your legs. You can play around with lifting one leg up, maybe the other, or maybe both. And we'll stay here for 30 seconds. And so we want to get relatively light in the head and very strong into the arms. So we're actively pressing into the floor with the forearms and elbows and then reaching through the feet up. If your feet are on the ground, then think about reaching your sit bones up. Nice, and then let's lower, let's come all the way down. And we'll meet in child's pose. So roll from the crown of the head to the forehead. Arms can come beside the body. I like this one after headstand because it just allows your shoulders just to roll open over your knees. But again, if you have another variation you like to take it. And then let's inhale, bring ourselves up for our last posture. Okay, it's funner to say it than actually do it. It's called Ookatasana, but this is just a really great posture for developing lots of strength within the body. So there's lots of variations you can take. If you have blocks or something you can place under your hands just to elevate you a little bit, that'll be super helpful. So your legs can do quite a few things. So some of us may just cross the leg, so you can have your left leg crossed in front of the right. Some of us may be able to work with a half lotus, so you can bring your left leg on top of your right and then just bend your right leg in front. Or some of us may be able to come into full lotus, but just make sure that your knees and ankles are happy and this isn't causing like any pain. With your hands, you don't want them too far behind you. You want them slightly in front of your hips. And we don't want the collarbone to collapse. We want to try and keep it open here. So when you're ready, ground into the palms, lift your knees up, and then inhale, let's lift up. So potentially you don't even lift off the floor, but that's okay. Developing that strength. You're here for 5, 4, smile, 3, you've got this, 2, and 1, lower down, nice job. Uncross your legs and then cross them the other way. So good. This is the best 10 seconds of your life. Let's lift those legs up, ground those palms, and then inhale, let's lift up. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, lower down, nice job. One last push of effort before we get to relax into Shavasana. So we can straighten the legs out. And let's begin to lay flat onto the back. So I always like to give myself a nice little VIP treatment in Shavasana. I love to use all the props. And so if you have something softer behind your head, that's nice. If you find laying flat just aggravates your back, then what you can do is you can bend your legs and bring your feet mat distance, and then just drop your knees side to side a few times. That might feel good for the back and your hips. And then an option, you can keep your feet wide and then just drop your knees in towards each other. And you might want to stay here for your Shavasana if that feels good. Another option is you can bring your feet together and allow your knees to widen. Another option that I like to take is I like to bring a bolster or pillows underneath the back of my legs and then straighten my legs over the bolster. And for me, elevating my knees just gives an opportunity for my quads to relax, and I just find my pelvis just sits a little bit more evenly onto the mat. And once you've found your final resting position, let's close the eyes and take this opportunity to connect ourselves to sensations of relaxation and comfort. So noticing how the practice has made you feel on a physical level, an energetic level, and a mental level. And as you lay in your Shavasana, I'm going to read you a poem from a book I've been reading called The Radiant Sutras. The senses declare an outrageous world. Sounds and scents, ravishing colors and shapes, ever-changing skies, iridescent reflections. All these beautiful surfaces, decorating vibrant emptiness. The God of love is courting you, light as a feather. Every perception is an invitation into revelation. Hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. Ways of knowing creation. Transmissions of electric realization. The deepest reality is always right here. Encircled by splendor, in the center of the sphere, meditate where the body thrills to currents of intimate communion. Follow your senses to the end and beyond, into the space of your heart. So let's begin to take deeper, fuller breaths in and out of the body. If you'd like to close your practice staying in Shavasana, you're more than welcome to stay where you're at. If you'd like to come up to your seat, then let's just gently start to wiggle the toes and the fingers. Starting to gently wake the body up, inviting subtle movement. And then when you're ready, you can roll onto your left side and then come up to your seat if that's where you're headed. And as you settle into the seat, you can bring the hands onto the legs, thumb and the index finger touching. And we're going to take 3 rounds of Sama Vritti here together. So we'll begin by just taking a free breath. So inhale and full exhale. So fully empty the body. And now we begin. So inhale with a steady rhythm and tempo to the peak of your breath. And once you've reached your full expansion, exhale with control and rhythm. So we're not just allowing the breath to rush out. We want it to be steady, intentional, and conscious. And allowing yourself to explore the depth of the exhale. And once you've reached the bottom, fill back up. And once you've reached your peak, empty out. Do one more round here. Feeling the inspiration of the inhale, that breathing in of life, and the purification and the emptying out of the exhale. And once you've reached the bottom of that last exhale, we're going to maintain just a soft rhythm within the breath. So it's a bit more subtle, but still noticeable enough to captivate the mind. And for the last 30 seconds of the practice, we're just going to sit ourselves into the space that we've started to cultivate and connect to through our practice. And we want this quietness, this spaciousness to captivate the senses and draw us deeper in. So focus the gaze, focus the mind, and begin to breathe. Beautiful. Soften your gaze. Take a full breath in through the nose and out through your mouth. Just take this moment to feel into the body and the mind and notice how you're doing now in this moment. And we'll bring our hands together at the center of the chest, palms pressing in Anjali Mudra. As you take this moment to truly thank yourselves, show yourself some love and gratitude for making this effort and time to show up for yourself. Such a great act of self-love. And we'll close the practice with a mantra Om together one time internally. So let's take a breath in and exhale to Om. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much, everyone. Namaste. Thank you so very much, everyone, for practicing with me this evening. I don't think I even told you my name. I got a little excited. My name's Sarah. And so, yeah, we are online at the SATTVA School of Yoga. So if you want to jump in for a practice, you can head to the website. There's all that information there. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well. And yeah, have a really beautiful evening. And yeah, enjoy yourself. Thank you again, everyone. Take care.